Greetings for Indie Book Publishing, Balboa Press. This is J. Douglas Barker. The title of the book is Mystical Minds, a memoir on mental illness. And joining me from Ontario, Canada, near Timmins, Ontario, Danny Martin Gerard. Welcome, sir, to the program.
Thank you.
This book, touches on a very, to some people, a sensitive subject, and in other regards, maybe something that would cause us to wonder what's the story behind it. I have family members that are dealing with issues, and I have had moments where I say I went through the Great Depression. So tell me a little of this story and how it got to be written, Danny.
Yeah, so I always had a lot of questions about religion and God, particularly when I was younger. And later down in my late teens, I'd say I started, I guess I had a lot of confusion with it. And I was often focused on doom and gloom. I had an overactive mind,
Right.
and anxiety, which led to insomnia, which led me to many sleepless nights. And it was all, it also revolved around fearing the worst case scenarios. Like, basically, I replay the same scenarios in my mind over and over again. It was all based on like tragedy and stuff like that. And,
Right.
And also I had many misconceptions about God. I didn't see him as a loving, compassionate source he is to me today. So.
Wow. Well, that's an important journey and an important distinction. I went through what I would call the Great Depression. I have some of those issues myself. Let me ask you this question, because it's certainly in my life. Are you a creative in any way? I know you have published a couple of books on poetry. So is it a creative background, do you think, that may be part of the mix of your illness that you had to overcome?
Well, I started writing in my late teens, and I wrote throughout my 20s, but it was on and off. And I didn't commit to it till I was about 32 years old when I started my blog, DannyGsThoughtForToday.com. And I became very active on social media, in particular Facebook and YouTube. It's my Facebook is the same thing, without the .com. But so I published 7 books,
Wow.
all poetry and prose, except for my memoir, which also has poetry. But so it was art was a means of dealing with my it was a therapy for me, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
It was also to make a difference in people's lives. Gave me purpose in a sense, because I received much praise for my writing that it helped others. So
that's spectacular. Your book, in some regards, is almost like a coaching session in some ways. Your chapter content is not long and involved, but at the heading of each chapter, I would say there's a sort of a coaching suggestion or a coaching inspirational moment that you take and try to encourage the people who are reading your book. The journey itself, I noticed in reading some of your background, your family situation was certainly nothing out of the ordinary, other than the fact that you considered it very positive. You had a mom and dad that you felt were mainstream, if you can call it that, and good parents. So it wasn't something in an environment that way. It was just a bend, perhaps, that you had in your personality that caused you to get into a negative mindset.
Yeah, I'd say it was more like a perplexed mind, troubled mind, always seeking for answers. And the thing is, a lot of people ask themselves these questions that I asked myself, but the problem was I couldn't stop my mind. It would just go on and on,
Mm-hmm.
and which created anxiety and exhaustion and depression over time.
It's a tough one. I have family members that have dealt with it, are dealing with it, and have tried the medical approach, which is usually medicine or some type of drug therapy. Is that something that you explored also?
Yes, I did take medication, psychiatric medication. I'm still on it today, but I've made a lot of improvement through spiritual rituals such as meditation, affirmations, and so forth, and lifestyle choices and that. Fabulous.
To give the listener and the reader a little of the insight into how you head up your chapters, you have a heading titled Integrity and Fairness. I have faith in God to fight The encouragement is, have faith in God to fight your battles for you. Don't lower yourself by being bitter or unforgiving. Know that your integrity opens the door for God to work in your life, and when you allow this spirit of fairness to rule over you, you allow the universe to protect you and conspire on your behalf. That's a very encouraging comment.
Thank you.
You have a blog and also a website. Are you dealing specifically with that, or are you sharing your poetry? What is your blog site? What is the content out there? What's the purpose of it?
So my blog is basically, I got all my books on there. It's a link to Amazon, but it's basically my thought for today. So I called it my name, DannyG'sThoughtForToday.com. It's basically just some of it are basically reminders because we tend to forget in life often, and some of it's more profound, that'll make you think. It's all on spirituality and faith, which is important to me because I believe that was my journey. And it's about seeking inward and having faith during adversities and relationships, grief, all that stuff.
Excellent. Your book really is not a long book. It's about 50 pages, I think, in total. Did it take a long time to put this into print? I got the impression that the year 2000 was a milestone in your life regarding this journey. That's when maybe poetry and other things started to emerge and you began to share those. This particular book, as you focused on this, do you journal every day, or how do you remember the content that is shared in this book?
Well, yeah, I do journal every day, almost every day. I post on my my social media, my blog, about 4 times per week. But as for, what was the question, sorry?
Well, I was just curious whether the contents of this book, Mystical Minds, was something that was from your journals, or was it something that you sat down and decided, I need to write this, and began a step-by-step approach to sharing this?
So this was my journey. It was not from my blog. It was not from my social media pages. But I do have poems in there that are from my blog and social media pages. But the book itself was just a yearning to share my story, to share my insights into what I've done to overcome my mental health challenges and hopefully help others with their mental health challenges and spread awareness.
Oh, aspirational for sure.
It comes in many forms, right? So.
And how long did it take, Danny, to complete this?
It didn't take me maybe several weeks, I'd say.
And your audience, I know in general what would be the answer to this, but I'm kind of curious. Is there anyone specifically, maybe an individual you were thinking of sharing this with and doing it in writing it so as though you were writing to a particular individual, or was it just a general aspect of sharing your thoughts to a multitude of people, and what's the outcome you hope to achieve?
Yeah, my goal is just to help as many people as I can through my writing and poetry, and it's to help myself too. So I believe we pick our passion for a therapy for ourselves, but it's also to impact as many lives as I can.
Wonderful goal, and you have done so with your poetry, and this is another important aspect of your life that you're sharing. Again, there are many people, some of us don't tell all of the stories and all of the journey that we are personally involved in necessarily, but a book like this, a story like this, will help us share the thoughts, the feelings, and maybe an understanding of, if you went through it, Danny, and are doing better on the other side, then maybe I can, maybe my family members can do so. I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful result from your book. Are you planning to do any follow-ups with this one, or in the same genre?
As for a memoir, I'm not sure. I don't think so. If I was to write a memoir, it'd be a longer one with more specifics. But as for upcoming stories that I plan on publishing, I'm working on a short story collection, which is loosely based on myself. And I'm also working on another poetry and prose book with poems and quotes, my favorite posts from social media and such.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Well, that's a book that should do real well as well as this book hopefully will do for you. Is there, when you get up in the morning, when you wake up, open your eyes, besides the fact that, I'm here again another day, is there something that specifically you look forward to? Is there a look back on events in your life that are very joyful that you also reflect on besides what's in your book?
Look forward to. Well, I enjoy my writing time. I enjoy it. Like, I do meditation every day. I meditate for 20 minutes a day. I've been doing that for over a decade now. So
Fabulous.
I have my morning rituals where I speak, where I pray and I speak affirmations and such. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Well, it's very important, and what you've described to me is having a positive outlook on life, having a routine that reinforces positive things that you have experienced and are experiencing. So those are very, very good words of advice, and the words of a coach that has been through some stuff but has come out on the other side and is doing well. So thank you for sharing your life story with us in this book titled Mystical Minds, a memoir on mental illness. My guest author, Danny Martin Gerard. Where do we get copies of this, Danny?
You can get it through Amazon. You can get it through Chapters Indigo. You can get it, pretty much every bookstore has it, but sometimes you have to pre-order it. Or if you're in Timmins, then you drop by the Timmins Public Library and they have copies there.
Fantastic. Danny, you mentioned social media and also a blog site. Can you repeat that for my listeners?
Yeah, so my blog, my website is DannyGSThoughtForToday.com. So that's Danny, my name, GS, thought singular for today.com. And the Facebook page is the same except without the .com.
Fabulous.
And I also have a YouTube page that was created by my cousin and I. It's called Mystical Minds.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, people will be able to get in contact with you there and also find out what you're up to. Hopefully it's positive like this book, Mystical Minds. Thank you for sharing time with me. As my listeners do not know or may not know about this interview, we both are Canadians. I'm stuck in Texas. He's in Timmins, which is a little cooler. And probably, since we're recording this in the summertime, a place I wish I could spend some time in. But thank you, Danny, for sharing your interest in sharing this life journey, Mystical Minds. Thanks again, and we hope to visit with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. For Indie Book Publishing, Balboa Press, this is J. Douglas Barker.